Monster Hunter World is a fantastic game, but many popular critics fail to tell you something. It's just not for everybody. If you've gandered at some reviews from Monster Hunter World, you've probably seen a lot of high ratings for this game, and that's because it's a damn near 10 out of 10 experience, but only if you fall into a very specific area of gamer that already enjoys this style of game. Monster Hunter World won't appeal to everybody, but many reviews right now do portray the game as such. One of the most important elements to creating a great video game review is not only to be objective, but to make it clear who you're recommending the game to. Many a Monster Hunter World review failed to do this. This is Monster Hunter World, an incredible game for the very select gamer. Monster Hunter World released on January 26th of this year, and I'm having a total blast with it, but because I love games like this. I can only recommend this game to a certain demographic of players. I saw way too many reviews where people just gushed all over this game while failing to remain neutral. Every player has different wants and needs. These kinds of reviews often set up high expectations formed out of personal wanderlust that many people latch onto. Those people then look so hard for that perfect game instead of immersing themselves into the actual game. Before I proceed any further, let it be known, Monster Hunter World is a truly awesome game. But contrary to what a lot of people are saying, this game isn't something you should rush into. Monster Hunter World focuses on two things, the hunting and the gameplay loop. It's important going into the game to know how you feel about these two things, as it will ultimately make or break it for you. Let's start with what Monster Hunter World handles incredibly well, the world and the hunting. The actual world of Monster Hunter World is really beautiful, and the monsters that live in it are huge and terrifying and exciting. I love the fact that the monsters interact with you, each other, and the environment in some very unpredictable ways. Every single monster is epic upon first sight, and the sense of danger definitely comes with it. I honestly don't believe I played any game world as believable as Monster Hunter World when it comes to its wildlife interaction, and because of this, the game always feels really fresh. You might be out hunting your targets and randomly out of nowhere, a giant bird or wyvern will drop down and begin fighting for territory. The monsters do feel alive with their own behaviors and feelings towards each other. These are real ecosystems with their own apex predators and destructible environments. Seeing the landscape change over the course of a hunt really adds to the sense that you're playing in a living, breathing world, and that's really important in a monster hunting game.
Hey.
Looking more closely at the animals in this game, you can see a large scale of variation between each and every monster. No two monsters ever feel the same, and each bring new and exciting challenges. They become genuinely intriguing, as every boss brings with it new knowledge both in the form of your hunter notes and the tactics you use while fighting these creatures. This aspect of the game does remind me of Dark Souls, this sensation that you're learning the insides and outs of the enemies. Honestly, comparing this game to Dark Souls is kind of a crime, but it's not a bad thing. There is a lot of trial and error with Monster Hunter World in the same vein as Dark Souls. But there are going to be hurdles you need to work past to getting the most out of this game. One of the biggest barriers you need to overcome when jumping into this game is most certainly the combat. Monster Hunter World offers a variety of different weapons for you to use, each with their own pros and cons. All of them do feel rather unique and offer different levels of difficulty to play optimally, ranging anywhere from the sword and the shield all the way down to giant machine guns. The actual moment-to-moment gameplay system, though, can feel extremely rigid and a little bit unnatural, especially to non-Monster Hunter players, and this is kind of the point of the video. The combat system is good, but not everyone will appreciate its very niche-like feel. It does feel weighty, but it also feels floaty at the same time. There are occasions where you will do a full combo string and miss every single swing, simply because the enemy has moved a fraction to the left or to the right of your character and is now facing a completely different direction. It's going to feel pretty strange if you haven't played these games before, but on the other side of the coin, it feels completely natural for myself and any other Monster Hunter fan. I thought the targeting system in the game would help this, but seriously, just avoid the lock-on feature at all costs. It bounces around a lot and can make motion-sensitive people just feel sick. But you may not have gleaned this from the very gushing reviews of this game. And that goes for some of the game mechanics. They don't feel very seamless. Now, while gathering is much easier than prior Monster Hunter games, you can practically pick up stuff on the run now, the responsiveness of the actual controls in combat can be sluggish. I've lost count on how many times I've died for no reason other than my character takes just forever to put away his weapon or to use an item, even though I'm borderline abusing my square button and shouting at my screen in disbelief. Of course, this is not an issue unique to Monster Hunter. Games of similar nature always seem to struggle with this very rigid and floaty feel to their combat. Most of the game does revolve around this combat and hunting, so if you're unable to get along with this very genre-specific combat experience and controller kind of setup, I don't think you'll find the drive to pick yourself back up for another round of Monster Hunter World. Because this is a collecting action-style RPG, and there are many great ones out there that feel much different, and that's what's left out of many Monster Hunter World reviews. This generalization that everybody will like this combat experience, when in fact not everyone's gonna like it. In spite of that ass whooping I just gave the game, it does feel very satisfying when you line up everything and land your full combo on that giant dinosaur after it's kicked your butt for the last hour, so there is some very satisfying conclusion to the combat experience once you kind of get in tandem with it and you start to love it. So let's look at what Monster Hunter World's gameplay flow looks like next. The flow of gameplay in Monster Hunter World is pretty standard. You complete a 30 to 40 hour story and then you begin a long journey of hunting monsters, grinding and crafting new items. The story is just there. It's okay, it's passable, but it's nothing that's gonna blow your mind. To me, it's a bit of a wasted opportunity, especially if you're looking for something deep and nuanced or wanting some strong character development. The characters are quite bland, and the voice acting is routinely bad.
Correct. So I have a proposition for all of you. I say we try and capture Zora once it gets there.
It doesn't just feel as epic as where the actual game takes you, because the game does take you to some very epic places. I hear a lot of reviews say that it doesn't really matter though, man, if the story isn't great because the gameplay is fun. But why does it have to be one or the other? I want both. Newcomers will also have a lot of questions that never really get answered. It feels like the game expects you to know a lot more about the history of Monster Hunter than a first-timer actually would know. After completing the main story, suddenly you are left to fend for yourself with little or no direction on how you should play the game. This is where the kind of endgame actually starts, I guess. Once you reach what the game calls high rank, it's up to you to how you want to proceed. Essentially, you farm monsters to fuel your crafting needs. You'll have to plan and work towards your own set of goals and build armor to make yourself look badass. If you're someone who has played a game like The Division or Warframe, you might feel some similarities here. There's a lot of grinding and a lot of repetition. The idea of chasing my own goals makes me feel pretty good actually, like I'm doing something because I want to do it rather than having the game tell me to do it. If you've been brought up as a Monster Hunter fan or a fan of just kind of any MMO, I guess, the idea of running around and doing the same activities over and over and over to get items that you want might sound appealing, but for others, it's not going to be very compelling. This game progression is a commitment, and you have to want to hunt that same creature over and over to farm materials to get that one piece of gear or weapon you want. You'll spend hours tweaking your gear for the perfect build, and your enjoyments will come from making your own perfect character. If that sounds appealing to you, Monster Hunter World will provide you with endless hours of amazing fun content. But if you're the sort of gamer who shudders at the thoughts of playing the same levels multiple times or doing the same crap over and over and over, you're not gonna enjoy Monster Hunter World to its fullest. Monster Hunter World should only be recommended to people who like the routine of, well, monster hunting games. At the start of this video, I said that this was a 10 out of 10 experience for a very specific type of gamer. I honestly love this game, and I want more people to jump into the action, but at the same time, it would feel very irresponsible of me to blindly praise the game. Recommending games shouldn't be based off a gush factor, or just because I love monster hunting games. The combat and the gameplay loop are not going to be for everybody, like I said, and this is far from one of the best games ever made, but hey, it's still an awesome package for fans of the series. Yes, it's got its flaws, you know, the dialogue is pretty weak and the lip syncing gives Mass Effect Andromeda a run for its money, but these things aren't going to overshadow the greatness of Monster Hunter World. Every minute I spent in this game fighting the truly stunning creatures was fantastic. The level of freedom that is given to you to play however you want is something I believe many gamers will also love. But Monster Hunter World is a game for monster hunting fans. There's better gameplay in other games, and the repetitive hunting is not going to win you over if you're not a fan of such a concept. So Monster Hunter World, a wonderful game that still should be approached with caution.